Welcome. This is the Racing Insiders. I'm Bill Wood in Los Angeles. I'm a journalist here in Southern California. I've been covering motorsports for a number of years. We have Jim Daniels in Memphis and Peter Keene in Cocoa Beach, Florida. Jim, barbecue time. What's going on in Memphis?
Hey, it's barbecue time. It's and race time as well. I've been in this game for a long time, Bill, with you and with Peter, rules writer, spec me out, a class founder, driver with Mazda in the ladder system, the first ladder winner. We're going to have a good show today.
That's pretty inside. Peter, how about you?
Well, I'm here in sunny Cocoa Beach, Florida, so been a part of Spirit of Daytona since its inception and on the SCCA Club Racing Board, so I think we write rules and cause problems.
Here's our show lineup. The first show here on MAVTV, the Racing Insiders. We take you inside a car with Katherine Legge. She's returning from a test session with the Deltawing. She's going to be driving the Deltawing at Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca, the ALMS stop there next week. We've got John Dagys, who is going to take you into the paddock in Grand Am, where there might be some team owners who are a little upset with what's happening in this merger. Maybe there's a wrinkle in the merger process. We're going to be giving you some background on World Challenge GTS, some things that are happening with the Mustang there. Jim Daniels helped write the rules for that. You can't get any more inside than that. And Global Rallycross. We've got a former Formula One driver who won the first round in Global Rallycross. Is he going to be around for the rest of the season? And are you kidding me? What do we think? You'll find that out. Are you kidding me? Good, bad, indifferent? You'll find out what we think. Jim Daniels in Memphis, Peter Keene in Cocoa Beach, Florida, Bill Wood in Los Angeles. We're going to go right now to a car in Kentucky filled with Katherine Legge, an open-wheel driver who's starting to make some noise in sports cars. Big headlines recently. It was announced that she was going to be driving the Deltawing car in the ALMS round in Monterey, Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca. Katherine, first, welcome. Congratulations. How'd you like driving an Aero?
Thank you very much. You know what? I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was awesome. I spoke to Andy Merrick, one of the drivers of the Deltawing, before I got in it, and he said, don't look at it before you get in it. And he told me, you know, it was helping me about how to drive it. And it's true. If somebody put a blindfold on you and you just drove the car, you would get out of the car and say, that is a very, very awesome, very cool racing car. You know, it doesn't have any drag. Well, it doesn't have much drag, so it was very fast and straight line. Gets all the downforce from the underwing, which means you can carry massive speed into the corner. When you brake, it doesn't hit. Obviously, you have to not aim for the apex because the front is a lot narrower than the rear, but that's pretty easy to get used to.
You know, being a part of a Daytona prototype team, it is it's an odd looking piece for us. I mean, I don't have much familiarity with it. I've seen it on TV, but I do know you had the opportunity to test with StarWorks at Atlanta last week or 2 weeks ago. Can you talk about that, and how does the Daytona prototype compare to the Deltawing?
The Deltawing felt very much like a single seater. It felt very much like an IndyCar, which is what I'm used to. The DP car, and I drove to StarWorks, you know, massive thank you to Peter Barron for letting me do that, because I didn't know Road Atlanta. I'd never been there before, and that really kind of helped to get a view on Road Atlanta. I actually raced the prototype in the Daytona 24-hour race in 2007. But the DP car is obviously a lot heavier, and there's a lot more weight transfer. There's really very little weight transfer in the Deltawing car. But it was a very cool experience as well, and when I drove the Deltawing, I felt much more comfortable. And
Kat, this is Jim Daniels, your Road America Kink Crash alumni. I talked to several of my friends down there, including the Mazda guys, and everyone was really glad to see you in the paddock. How was it welcoming? Did you make any new friends? Did you meet anybody interesting? See any old friends? Tell us about your paddock experience.
It was really lovely to be there and be in the Grand Am paddock, because, you know, it's kind of alien to me. I know Mike Tank, obviously, and his team a little bit because of I'm good friends with AJ Allmendinger, and I know that they were trying to put something together for IndyCar, and I was actually speaking to them at the beginning about doing that. So I know very limited people over there.
Come on into the sports car water. It's fine. You won't miss a thing.
Let me jump in here, Katherine Legge, before we get out of here. This testing, does this mean that you might be switching from open wheel to sports cars?
It's definitely something that I'm looking at. Sports cars has always interested me. Obviously, since I drove for Audi and DTM, I was looking at the R8 and the Le Mans program that they had, and it's always been a big pull. Next year, with the new amalgamated series, it's going to be a force to be reckoned with. I really think that it's going to be one of the places to be. I think it's exciting, and now is a very good time to be looking at that. I'm still trying to put a deal together to do the 500. That's important to me. I'd like to do Indy. But apart from that, yes, I'm definitely excited and looking at the prospect of doing sports cars.
Katherine Legge, open-wheel driver, former DTM, Champ Car, IndyCar, and now in sports cars. She's going to be driving the Deltawing at the ALMS, did some testing with a couple of Daytona prototype teams. Let's get her into sports cars as fast as we can. Katherine, thank you. That's our first segment, the Racing Insiders on MAVTV. Coming up next, we've got John Dagys, sports car expert, journalist worldwide. He's going to give us some insight on what's going on in the Grand Am paddock about the merger. We'll be right back.
Let us know what you think about what the Racing Insiders have to say. Tell us on Facebook and Twitter. Want to keep up with all the racing action at the track? Well, download the new GoRacingTV iPhone and Android app. And remember to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
Hope you like those Speed Beats segments. We'll be showing those every week for your enjoyment. Just a little piece of sports car racing candy for you. I'm Bill Wood in Los Angeles. We've got Peter Keene in Florida, and Jim Daniels is in Tennessee. On the line with us now is John Dagys, one of the great writers. You probably stay in touch with him at speed.com. Had a good article recently about some of the changing in attitudes that are happening in the Grand Am paddock. He talked to some of the team owners at Road Atlanta, found that some of the bliss from the merger talks is maybe past now. Would you say that, John?
Yeah, it was quite a wake-up call when I walked around the paddock last weekend at Road Atlanta. A lot of teams were a little skeptical, particularly Daytona prototype teams, about the whole merger process with LMP2 and DP cars. And what started as an investigation of trying to figure out what changes would you be willing to make to a DP car turned into almost a case of many of the DP owners not wanting P2 cars there in the first place. You know, more of a case of big technical differences between the two platforms and a more sophisticated LMP2 car and a much quicker LMP2 car would require a massive budget increase for Daytona prototype owners.
Do you think that it's possible to equate these two very different cars?
I think it would be very difficult to keep it balanced on a regular basis. You know, you might be able to get it right on some tracks, but at a place like Daytona, where speed is a huge variable, you know, where you rely on a large rate of speed compared to maybe like a Lime Rock or a Laguna Seca, there's a lot of different tracks. I have the faith in them that they'll get the job done, but there's still a little question in the back of my mind if it'll be 100% perfect everywhere we go.
Yeah, John, my quick question is one of the nuances in your article. In there you mentioned one of the team owners had made a comment, something to the effect, we know who they are and relate it to money. Is at this level, with DP having the majority of the cars, Grand Am being the 400-pound gorilla in the room, is there actually teams out there that are fearful that one of the four P2 cars is going to have some kind of advantage politically because of money?
I don't think that politically there's any concern. It's more of a case of, I think the ALMS teams have larger budgets right now than Grand Am teams, and operating costs for a Daytona prototype and a P2 car are roughly the same. You're talking about $2 million to $2.5 million a year to operate one of those, a one-car team in either ALMS or Grand Am. I think teams in ALMS have larger budgets, and they're able to spend a little more on research and development, on testing, on presentation, and I think that it's causing some concerns in the Grand Am paddock.
Yeah, well, I guess my question is kind of along that budget item. I mean, one thing I didn't see in your article is, I mean, as a member of Spirited Daytona, I mean, I think we're looking at $750,000 to $1 million more in our budget next year to run Sebring and Petit Le Mans.
No, that's another big concern as well, but I didn't have enough room to put that in the article. I'm actually working on a few other stories in the weeks to come. Operating costs from our standpoint increase is also a huge concern as well, because you'll add, like you mentioned, Sebring and Petit Le Mans, and that's one of the reasons why the Unified Series wants to keep the schedule at 10 to 12 races. Yeah, it's all a work in progress, it seems. It's good that Grand Am and IMSA are opening up the floor to gather teams' opinions, but it's getting a little late in the game right now. We're 9 months until the Rolex 24, and teams have to start making decisions, A, firstly, on what kind of car to run for next year, and B, what kind of budgets it'll be, and C, all the ancillary stuff.
Do you think any of these new attitudes that are coming from the paddock, is this anything that could throw a monkey wrench in the machinery that's making this merger come to be?
In the short term, I don't think so. I think that everybody is in agreement that a unified series is what we need. It's been long overdue right now. Through the years with ALMS and Grand Am pretty much fighting against each other for the attention in the North American sports car market. And I think people are willing for some compromise, but it'll be interesting to see how the first 2 years are of this unified series and seeing what develops and what compromises are made. And if it's a case of budgets increasing, you might slowly see some teams fade away or go to some other championships like World Challenge, for instance. Or, you never know what could happen in the future.
Right.
Wow. Great information, great inside information. The Racing Insider's John Dagys. Hopefully we can have him back periodically to give us some background, one of the important journalists in sports car world. John Dagys, thank you. SpeedTV.com. We look forward to hearing some more from you and reading your work. Coming up next on the Racing Insiders, we've got our own opinions, some insight on World Challenge GTS and Global Rallycross. New things happening all over the place with those. We'll be right back.
This segment of the Racing Insiders was brought to you by GoRacingTV.com. For racers, by racers. Want to keep up with all the racing action at the track? Well, download the new GoRacingTV iPhone and Android app. And remember to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
Welcome back. This is the Racing Insiders on MAVTV. I'm Bill Wood in Los Angeles. We've got Jim Daniels in Memphis, Tennessee, and Peter Keene in Cocoa Beach, Florida. This time we're going to get a little bit of our own opinions on World Challenge, the GTS part of it. So we're going to go right to Jim Daniels, where there's a little bit of confusion, shall we say. He's the man who helped write some of the rules for the Fords. Jim, what's going on?
Yeah. Back in 2010, we're sitting on the beach with a bunch of Mustang Challenge cars and no place to race. GTS had 2 cars. Peter Cunningham was fielding 2 cars. So we got all those cars in the field, and through that endeavor, it was supposedly said that the Mustang was become the base model of the class, or the performance model of the class. You look at this last weekend, the top placing Mustang was 10th of Brad Adams, and people like Pratt Cole and George Winkler and Rich Golinello and a string of other people that bought those $80,000 cars are not there. So the big question on everybody's mind is, and Peter can talk to this in a moment, is the cars not competitive? Are the drivers not competitive? Or is there anything wrong? And why don't we have more Mustangs there? And why is that base car not in a top 5 with some good drivers? Peter?
Well, you know, talking to the people at World Challenge, you know, I got friends over there. They're doing the monitoring or whatever. I mean, they've always said it. You know, is it the caliber of teams? I don't really know. It seems that development's kind of gone past the Mustangs. The Mustangs didn't keep pace, and that's always been a situation with World Challenge. You know, the beat goes on. So if you look at that Losh and Ochsenbach Camaro, there's a still shot somewhere there. It had 3 or 4 degrees of negative camber in the right front, turned in. The chassis was working. You know, I think maybe it's a development thing with Ford a little bit, and you know, maybe World Challenge let it go too quick. But I mean, you got a great mix at the front. You got Camaros, the Kias are, you know, were top 5, I think, and you know, Peter Cunningham's always there right with his Acuras.
Well, the problem might be Ford is giving a lot of technical support, and they're trying to sell cars to racers. Maybe they ought to be trying to sell cars to the public like GM. They're having a lot of success with Cadillac selling $50,000 cars. I'm told that it's maybe a 10% close rate on the leads that they get from their activation at the races. It would be cool to see Ford a little more involved in what's going on at the racetrack to support the GTS category in World Challenge. Global Rallycross is next. It was a big deal to have Scott Speed win the round X Games in Brazil, but Global Rallycross, it's a good thing. They've got a huge amount of problems, but Scott Speed is telling me that he might be at Barcelona coming up. Jim, what do you have? What are you finding out in bumping around the Global Rallycross community?
Well, we're an insiders show here, and so we are trying to get as much information as you can. And usually with most of the series, you're able to follow the drivers' Twitter, communicate with drivers through Twitter, and then follow the websites. I co-founded Spec Miata, own the website that's the largest forum-based website on the internet. So I've got experience with this, and I find it difficult that a series spending this much money and that's got this much vitality in it is allowing so many variations of global rallycross to exist on the internet side of it. So from an insider perspective, I'm having a little trouble focusing in on the exact series and what the message is. And I wish that social media would be tied in a little bit better so we can reach more of that age group of people. And Peter, you have one of the guys in the field that used to drive for you, right?
Yeah, no, definitely. Buddy Rice was in there. You know, Buddy Rice had a one-off there in Brazil or whatever. And I mean, I wanted to follow him. I love Buddy. You know, he drove for us at Spirit of Daytona for a couple of seasons. And in fact, I went down to West Palm and visited him when he was at the go-kart track earlier this year. But I do want to give him a call out, though. You know, he qualified 7th, I think. You know, he beat Ken Block and Pastrana in the qualifying area. He was quicker in qualifying, and then, you know, got taken out in that first lap crash.
He told me that it was a one-off, but he did a good enough job to get more runs this year. He was running for Volkswagen. I think it's an issue of whether or not Volkswagen is going to come to the United States. Even they're using a car, the Polo, that's not sold here, so they may not run the rounds in the U.S., even the Los Angeles round at X Games. So that's the big issue, I think, right now. That's the Global Rallycross World Challenge. Follow those on their respective websites, and you'll get a little more background as it comes along. We'll be following it here to give you a little background of what's happening as we go forward. All right, the Racing Insiders coming up next. Are you kidding me? We get a chance to get on our soapbox and you get a little bit about what's bumping around in our heads. Are you kidding me? That may come from you right after this.
Want to keep up with all the racing action at the track? Well, download the new GoRacingTV iPhone and Android app. And remember to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
Are you kidding me?
This is a segment we call Are You Kidding Me? You get a chance to learn a little bit about what we think about what's going on off the track and on the track. Could be good, could be bad. Are you kidding me? Jim, it's up to you.
Are you kidding me? James Sofranis gets another win in GT? How did this happen? The racing luck is supposed to go against you. We get down to the end of the race at Long Beach. Figgy in the Volvo goes straight off with a suspension failure at turn 1. Lucky for him, there was a runoff room there. If it broke anywhere else, it'd been bad news. That brings out the yellow. The race is going to finish underneath the yellow. Figgy has given this win to Johnny O'Connell in the Cadillac. They're behind the pace car. Johnny takes the white flag. He goes through 3 turns. He loses a motor. Who's in third place? Second at that time, James Safranis in the Audi. The Audi 8 from GMG gets another win when he wasn't the fastest. Peter?
All right, guys, my Are You Kidding Me is, how about United Sports Car asking the DP guys to speed up 6 seconds? Are you kidding me? 6 seconds? Come on. There's a dozen to 15 DP cars running every weekend. There's 2 to 4 LMP2 cars. So I guess those guys get the cue. Who really won this fight? I think it's Grand Am, the Daytona prototype. The 6 seconds is an Are You Kidding Me?
Thanks, Peter. My Are You Kidding Me is a little off track from Long Beach, the ALMS race. Had a chance to talk to former F1 driver Nick Heidfeld, who runs for Rebellion Racing. They finished second in the race to Muscle Milk. But the conversation eventually turned to music, one of my favorite things. Talked to Nick Heidfeld, what's in his iPod, looked at Supertramp, Tom Petty, some Michael Jackson, but he floored me when he showed me some Percy Sledge, the old soul legend. How do you think a guy from Germany who drives an F1 could find anything in Percy Sledge when a man loves a woman? It's crazy. Are you kidding me? That's in his iPod. That's what he might be bopping his head to the next time you see him in his headphones. Are you kidding me? We'll be right back. This is the Racing Insiders. That's our first show of the Racing Insiders on MAVTV. I'm Bill Wood in Los Angeles, a journalist of some note, at least in my mind. Jim, what'd you think?
Hey, I think we had a great show. I think the fans out there need to know that this is a fan show. We need emails, we need social media, we need input. Let us know what you want inside information on. We're the team that can get it. Peter, you got some social media news.
Yeah, I'd like to have everybody go to SDR Motorsports on Facebook and take a look at the video with Ricky Taylor. We had him out in the mud, something different. You know, I don't think Wayne Taylor ever thought that kid would be out in the mud with us, but, you know, getting his redneck on. So that's a good video.
Getting his redneck on. That's pretty good. We're the Racing Insiders. We'll take you inside the mud right here on MAVTV. I'm Bill Wood for Jim Daniels in Memphis and Peter Keene in Cocoa Beach, Florida. We look forward to seeing you next week. Have a great week.